Okay, I'm going to show you how to complete your phase transitions flip book. So yesterday we put this together, and today you're actually going to start filling in each of the pages. So we started off by putting phase transitions on the front page, and then we started writing solid, liquid, gas on this section. So if you haven't done this already, in this space right here, you're going to write solid, liquid, and gas. And when you open the sheet, this is what we're going to put. So kind of crease it across like this so it stays open. And you're going to draw 3 boxes through the middle here. The left side you're going to do solid, the middle you're going to do liquid, and the right side you're going to do gas. And the first thing you're going to do is draw a picture to represent each one of these parts. And this can actually be found on page 9 of your packet. So if you look, here it shows us gases, here it shows us liquids, and here it shows us solids. So you can see the pictures. The particles are spread far apart in the gases, they're closer together with the liquids and still spread out. And then the solids, they're close together and they form a rigid structure. So you can see there's an actual pattern to how they are placed. So go ahead and draw those pictures. Make sure you put the motion lines in to show that gas is going really fast, that liquid's kind of a little bit average there, and that solid is just vibrating. After you're done with that, you are going to read the descriptions on page 9 for each of the phases. So gases have indefinite shape and volume. When they are not contained, they are constantly spreading. Their particles move so fast that they escape each other's attractive forces. So for gas, you're going to put these notes. They have an indefinite shape, which means that they change shape. They have indefinite volume, which means they change volume. They spread far apart, and they move fast. Those are the 4 main things you need to know about the particles in a gas. The next part is liquids. So right here, we have liquids have a constant volume, but indefinite shape. They assume the form of their container. Their particles move and stay close together. So the 4 main things you need to know for liquid is that they have an indefinite shape, which means that their shape can change. They have a definite volume, which means their volume stays the same. Particles spread apart, and the particles move past each other. And the last one here are solids. Solids are materials with a constant shape and volume. Their particles are rigidly connected and they do not move much at all. So the 4 main things you need to know for this is that solids have a definite shape, which means that they do not change. They have a definite volume, which means the volume does not change. The particles are close together and they vibrate. So they're barely moving and you can't see the movement, but they are vibrating. Okay, so once you are done with that, you're going to go on to the next part, and we're going to focus on melting first. So what you're going to be doing in each of these sections for the different phase changes is you're going to talk about which phase they start at and then what phase they change to. So for melting starts as a solid, so an example we have ice, and it changes to a liquid, so it goes to water, for example. Pretty simple. You're familiar with melting. You see it all the time. So this is what you need to include on your flip chart. You can also see this information on page 9. It says melting involves a solid changing into a liquid. Ice does this at room temperature, and candle wax does this when the candle burns. The next one we're going to do is freezing, so let's go ahead and read that. Freezing involves a liquid changing into a solid. This normally happens when the temperature is below the freezing point of the liquid, which is 0 degrees Celsius for water. So we're going to go ahead and flip our page, and we're going to do freezing next. So freezing is a liquid changing to a solid. So our examples are water changing to ice. Next one is evaporation. Hopefully you're familiar with this one as well. This is a liquid changing to a gas. So for example, water changing to water vapor. If you look in your notes, evaporation involves a liquid changing into a gas, such as when a puddle of water changes into water vapor. The next one I'm sure you're familiar with, you just may not know that this is what it's called. Condensation involves a gas, such as a water vapor, changing to a liquid. This typically happens when heat is traveling out of a gas. So if you ever drink a can of pop, and you take it out of the refrigerator and you can see the water droplets forming on the outside of the can, that is actually condensation. So that is a gas, the water vapor from the air, changing to a liquid, which is the water that forms on the outside of a can. Another example in real life is a cloud. A cloud is made of water vapor, and when it starts raining, that water vapor turns into rain, and then it comes down. Our next one probably is new to you. It is called sublimation, and that's when a solid changes to a gas. And an example would be dry ice changing into vapor. So you all saw this at Science on the Road, the dry ice. It's one thing that we really like to look at. It's fun, and it's hard to imagine something going from a solid to a liquid, or to a gas instead of a liquid. So sublimation is solid changing to a gas. We look at our notes. Sublimation involves a solid changing directly into a gas and skipping the liquid phase. An example is dry ice, frozen carbon dioxide changing directly into CO2 gas. And the last one is deposition. It involves a gas changing into a solid. In the comic, a cloud containing solid particles leaves them on surfaces it touches. Other examples include a flame changing to soot and frost forming on a window. So that might be something you're really familiar with, is seeing frost form on a window. So again, deposition is a gas changing to a solid. So that would be water vapor freezing into ice on your window. So please make sure that after you complete all of these with their beginning phases and their ending phases, that you draw pictures to represent each one and you color those in. Now you can be creative with your pictures. You can draw snowmen, you can do Olaf if you happen to like Frozen. You can do any kind of pictures that you want, as long as it represents accurately each of these phase changes. And again, you can go back and watch this as many times as you need until you are done.